This week on the Roth Guy, we're going to talk about the top 5 Roth mistakes that Jude sees in his practice every day. So let's get into it this week here on the podcast.
Flying high above the metropolis, it's the Roth Guy with holistic wealth advisor Jude Wilson.
Hey everybody, welcome into the Roth Guy. Thanks for hanging out with Jude and I as we talk investing, finance, and retirement. And this week, Jude's going to help us break down the top 5 mistakes he sees when it comes to dealing with Roths or Roth conversions, I suppose I should say, right? That is the full piece of that. So what's going on, my friend? How are you?
Man, living the dream, as my favorite movie would say.
Well, I'm going to put you on the spot this week. I want to talk about these top 5 items that we've got. And these are things you guys see in the practice, right? So when people are doing Roth conversions,
For sure.
Dealing with those and just kind of, some of the stuff that you can run into, right? That kind of mess you up there. So let's just get into it. Let's start with the first one, which is converting too much. And now, would this be like in a calendar year kind of thing, or because over time is really what you want to do, right?
You're absolutely right. You want to convert over time. But some people get really aggressive about their Roth conversions. They want to see all of their money in tax-free later. And so doing too much in a year can cause what I call the domino effect.
Right.
And can really create more havoc than the good that you're trying to accomplish. Let's do an example.
Okay.
Let's say you had taxable income of $80,000 and you convert $100,000. Well, that chunk could push you up into the 32% tax bracket instead of keeping you where you might have been in the 22% tax bracket. So
Gotcha.
Doing too much could actually cost you more in taxes than what you intended.
Right.
So we use a little strategy that we call tax bracket bumping, making sure that we're looking at your total income for the year, taking into account any itemizations that you may get from doing itemized deductions or the standard deduction, and coming up with a number that you can convert while staying at the top of the bracket that you're currently in, or looking at how much more you can do that may kick you into the next bracket.
Gotcha. Right. Because when you're thinking about doing the conversion, especially if people want wanting to get it done, they're like, hey, they hear all the conversations, converting free money is the best money. And once I get it paid for, it grows, it's going to grow and I won't have to, get any more taxes built up on it because the Roth. But to your point, you want to do this smartly because otherwise you don't want to change that tax bracket. And I guess probably part of that, Jude, is that with the current tax law set to expire, we've been thinking that if you don't get this stuff done by the end of 2025, you're missing out, right?
Right.
And as we've talked about the last couple episodes, we don't know yet because they haven't gotten there yet. But there's a likely chance that they'll extend that because, Trump's in the office now, and that was his tax cut program from back in 2017.
Absolutely. The Tax Cut and Jobs Act.
Right.
And you're so right. I think the media and people who pay attention to finance gurus have felt this certain pressure to do it. And to a certain extent, they're right, because taxes are on sale now if you look at where we've been at historically. But you should do the math at the end of the day, or seek a qualified professional that can kind of help guide you and do the math for you, because there's also break even to consider.
Sure.
But the first place is to think of not causing yourself more harm than good by kicking you into another tax bracket.
Yeah, and I guess these 5 items, Jude, they kind of maybe will domino each other a little bit.
Absolutely. I call it the domino effect.
Okay.
And I see this all the time in the practice when people come to me and they're excited about listening to the Roth Guy, or
Sure.
they've attended a seminar that I've done. And kind of like a kid at Christmas Eve, they're so excited to open the Roth package. I'm going to do Roth conversions, Jude. This is my idea. I'm like, whoa, wait a minute.
Great, but all right. So let's do the second one then. So converting too much at one time, right, in a calendar year, causing a tax issue, basically not maximizing the tax steps, right?
Yeah.
So 2, considering what that does to your Medicare. So IRMAA. Right. So by converting, you're going to cause yourself this lovely little IRMAA tax. Uncle Sam and Aunt Irma got their hands in your pocket.
The dynamic duo. And we're not too thrilled about IRMAA. So here's the situation. Your Medicare premiums are based on your income, and particularly looking
from
income
2 years prior, right?
2 years, exactly 2 years prior. So with that, let's give an example. Let's say
Okay.
you're 63 years old and you plan on doing a big Roth conversion.
Okay.
We had a prospective client come in one day, and he had $2 million in an IRA, and he wanted to aggressively convert $500,000 a year so that over time he'd convert the whole thing. After we
Okay.
did the math, not only did we show him that would cause him additional tax by putting him up into the next bracket,
Mhm.
but what he did not anticipate was the IRMAA surcharges. So that would have caused him to have the highest Medicare premium,
Mm.
and it stays in existence for the next 2 years. So we were able to save him thousands of dollars by calculating exactly how much he should convert. That one wouldn't kick him into the next bracket, and two wouldn't greatly affect his Medicare premiums.
Yeah, and so it's doing that look back, right? So if you do a bunch of conversion now and you think, okay, I've got it, whatever, we're good to go. Just remember that in 2 years, when they go back and look at that, you may be paying now higher premiums. So it kind of comes back to bite you a little later because you've forgotten about it. It was 2 years ago, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. So and then it leads to this one. And the next question is, how do you pay for it? Right. So I want to do the conversion. If you want to use that guy as an example, it's like, oh, okay, I got like $2 million in this account. I want to aggressively convert. Where do I pull the money from? Is it money that I have in my savings account, or do I just use it from the IRA? Right. And I think a lot of people use the IRA.
Yeah, which is a big mistake.
Okay.
And this leads into the whole reason for our show. Yes, we're the Roth Guy, but we talk about holistic planning.
Right.
And in our holistic plan, one of the first things that we do is set up our buckets, our bucket plan strategy. And we've talked about this before, the now, the soon, and the later bucket. Well, your now bucket is are dollars that are sitting on the sideline in your checking, savings, money market, CDs, those type of things. And so you should have a properly funded now bucket. The reason I allude to that is when we're doing more planning for our clients, we're looking at paying the taxes in a Roth conversion from that now bucket. Money that you take out of the IRA to pay for the Roth conversion is the least effective way of doing a Roth conversion.
Yeah, because you're tapping into that the growing power, right?
Exactly.
You're pulling out of it, right? So you're taking away from some of that growth potential out there in the market. All right.
Yeah.
So then the 5-year rule, what is that, and why is that a mistake?
Well, a lot of people assume that you can do Roth conversions and then you can pull out the money from the Roth at any time because it's
right, because
after
you've made it tax free, so now I can get to it. Blah blah blah.
Well, not so fast. There's a little 5-year rule that many people don't know about, which means that the dollars have to be sitting within the Roth for 5 years before you can pull out any of the earnings.
Yeah.
So if you're 55 years old and you do a Roth conversion, you need to wait till at least 60 to withdraw money without any penalty. And if you're doing that with the thought process, making this conversion with the thought process that I'm going to be able to pull out money when I retire next year, you could be causing yourself more harm than good.
Yeah, and so it kind of leads to the fifth one here is just an overall tax strategy to be efficient with it. But really, again, if you think about it, like we said, these kind of all play together. If you Roth over time, Jude, you're going to maybe be able to get yourself really, really where you want to be because you're going to satisfy the rule. You're going to get because it's getting the clock started,
Absolutely.
Correct?
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah.
It's just, doing it as soon as possible to get that clock started gives you so much more flexibility. Even if you just convert $100, at least the clock got started, or establishing the Roth,
Right.
you got the clock started. So yeah, I couldn't stress that more.
Okay. And then, of course, again, the fifth piece being the overall tax strategy, how all this stuff is going to affect you and play together. And that's, again, why maybe an effective strategy is to try to build a Rothing over time, component to your portfolio.
Yes. So one of the proprietary strategies that we use to help our clients, we call it the tax management journey. There's 7 steps. It looks like a literal map. And there's 7 steps on the map fact, we can include it in the download.
Okay.
But each one of the steps allows us to do an analysis of a client's tax situation and make some observations.
Okay.
And so when we're coming up with a Roth conversion strategy, not only do we want to take into account your tax brackets, IRMAA surcharges, but we want to configure, your buckets correctly. We want to think about we want to think about when is the most appropriate time to do the Roth conversions. So it's not a one size fits all. And that's the thing I tend to see with some of the Instagram gurus, kind of hyping people up to just do these Roth conversions. And it really should have an overall plan to make the most out of the Roth conversion.
Yeah, and we'll put some links in the show notes below, so if you guys want to go check some stuff out, there's a lot of good resources at Jude's main website, which is centrusfs.com. We can put those links in there, but we'll also have it into the one we promote for the show often, which is the taxbomb.com. So we'll have all that information in the show description for you below, so you can go check that out. So I mean, Jude, at the end of the day, right? So when you guys do this stuff for clients day in and day out, you're doing all the different pieces that makes up a holistic retirement strategy, and Roth conversions is a big piece of that the last couple of years. So avoiding mistakes, pretty crucial.
Absolutely. Whether it's now or in the future, you want to be proactive and make sure you're making the best use of your dollars to get you to your end goal. And having a holistic plan is a big part of that.
Yeah, exactly. So if you guys need some help with that, making sure that you're not stepping into some of these top 5 Roth conversion mistakes, now not contributing to the Roth conversion mistakes, then make sure you reach out to Jude and team. Again, links in the show descriptions below, and that way you can get yourself some time onto the calendar with Jude and his folks over there at Centrus FS. Thanks for hanging out with us here on The Roth Guy. Don't forget to subscribe to us on Apple, Spotify, and of course, YouTube. And we appreciate your time. And Jude, we'll see you next time, buddy.
Thank you, my friend.
Stay out of trouble, stay safe and sane, and we'll catch you later here on The Roth Guy.
Financial planning and advisory services are offered through Prosperity Capital Advisors, PCA, an SEC-registered investment advisor with its principal place of business in the state of Ohio. Centrus Financial Strategies and PCA are separate, non-affiliated entities. PCA does not provide tax or legal advice. Insurance and tax services offered through Centrus Financial Strategies are not affiliated with PCA. Information received from this podcast should not be viewed as individual investment advice. Product discussions and illustrations are hypothetical in nature and will vary based on many factors, including but not limited to age, health, product, insurance carrier, and product design. You should consult the insurance carrier website and policy for detailed information. For information pertaining to the registration status of PCA, please contact the firm or refer to the Investment Advisor Public Disclosure website, www.advisorinfo.sec.gov. For additional information about PCA, including fees and services, send for our disclosure statement as set forth on Form ADV from PCA using the contact information herein. Please read the disclosure statement carefully before you invest or send money.